Welcome to the first Greek discussion video.
Let's discuss
Greece. And I think that the thing about the first Greek video that seemed to have stuck out to most people, especially like in the comments and the feedback that we got, was the Airbnb that we stayed in. That was in that loft in that Bangladeshi neighborhood. And how do you say this? Exquisite isn't the right word. Like eclectic, I guess would be a good word. How eclectic that Airbnb was, and the story behind that. Can you explain like what you expected when you had found it? Do you remember?
I communicated with the people, and I had looked at the Airbnb person's previous other place, because we were one of the first people to stay there. There was no history, no reviews, so I was like, do they have another place? So I went to the other place that they were running, and there were rave reviews of it being classy might be might be pushing it too far, but that it was a very nice place, a very well done place. I got the impression that it wasn't cheesy or modern, that it was kind of traditional. Okay. So I was like, oh, okay. And I saw the pictures. I knew kind of what to expect, but I certainly didn't. I remember being still so quite shocked. We knew that it was going to be kind of big, but I don't remember. They omitted the artwork and stuff, which is Actually, I went back and I saw they have the black dude is one of he's there. They haven't blurred the bits or anything like that.
The thing about it, I think, I didn't... I mean, the art was okay. I do remember you told me that it was appropriate for children. And I think that, some people would be a little bit disagreeing on the appropriateness of for children. Not only because of,
I thought, the black guy is appropriate. It's fine. It's just nature.
The two dudes peeing into the pool of the babies was a little over the line. And, the lion, filleting itself was a little bit much.
And it was really children-y, its creation was kind of childish looking.
I also think the fact that they had marked it for a pseudo for children, and then there's drug paraphernalia, and it was not, you would not want to bring your toddler in there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We were just watching the video. I'm talking about how I feel there were parts of that place that I shouldn't be looking at, and I think that if you have an Airbnb, you shouldn't have those.
Sure, I agree.
Because then you start wondering, am I not supposed to open this drawer in the kitchen?
Yeah, and I mean, maybe you're just looking for paper towels or something, and then you find somebody's crack stash.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing was though, is when we got there, one of the two dudes that runs it met us, and I mean, he was just fine. I mean, he was a nice guy and everything. And he gave us.
He didn't seem to know anything about what was going on.
He seemed like his partner was the one that ran everything, but his partner was busy or out of town or something. So he was the one that was having to hand the keys over to us.
Didn't know what the internet password was.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
why are you here?
Of note, the painting of the of the two guys that were peeing into the pool of babies, that was the hosts. Mm-hmm. We put this. It was one of the hosts. It was the other guy that we didn't meet, but you had a picture of him or something, and we just lined it up at some point. So the impression that I get is that one of those dudes lives there, and when they can rent it out, he just lives with his partner while somebody is there, so they can get a little bit of money from that. So I think that's why it felt so lived in, because literally it is lived in, which is not normal for what you expect from an Airbnb. Usually it's somebody's spare house or spare. They have a spare apartment or a spare room or something, and they don't use it. It's set up for Airbnb, and that's its purpose. Yeah. This place felt like it was an artist dude's loft, and
that's what it's advertised as.
That is,
it's artist's loft, blah blah blah.
Yeah. The part that I think that that was over the line, I could deal with the neighborhood's rough. It's like a ghetto, basically. I mean that in the literal sense. I went out by
myself, and I got chatted up. I got looked at hard. Was it
daytime?
I did daytime and nighttime.
Yeah.
And neither of them felt comfortable.
Yeah, it was a sketchy neighborhood. I wouldn't say that it was dangerous, but I mean single female in that neighborhood is probably a little bit uncomfortable, like you said.
Daytime was pretty fine. I felt like I could hold my own, but nighttime was out of my element.
And as we walked into other streets, just like 1 or 2 streets over, there's just like people passed out on the street, and not like passed out like a Friday night in Tokyo where somebody drank too much, passed out like a needle still in their arm, passed out, that kind of passed out. So yeah, the neighborhood, but I could deal with that. The neighborhood I could deal with that because once you go up into that area, you're pretty
into
disconnected.
The loft?
Yeah, you're into the loft. You're disconnected from the neighborhood completely. So it doesn't feel sketchy up there, in that sense. And then I could deal with that. I could deal with the wacky artwork. It doesn't. I mean, I'm not offended by hardly anything.
What about the dude that so. The loft, when you're looking out the window, there's these huge windows that
the naked
span
guy?
the whole the whole window. And one morning, we had all the blinds up. I just looked out across the way. You can see obviously what looks like probably other Airbnbs because the people were turning over. We'd see different people, and this dude just came out
on the balcony,
like arms up, like just hanging salami. And
like it was nothing.
He was quite buff and he worked out, and it was just like an Adonis on the balcony. I was like, all right. They weren't super close. There was like
it was like a whole block away.
Yeah, there could have been a building between the two of us, but
I'm fine with the naked dude. He didn't bother me. The thing that kind of pushed it over the line, though, for me, the thing that I found like to be like you serious was when you started finding drug paraphernalia and stuff. I think that just shouldn't be something that your guests are around.
Put
and
it
like
in a safe or
not in the.
What
we stayed in another Airbnb once where while we were there and we were up in our room, the people that were the hosts were totally fine. Were smoking weed. And where we were in the world, it was in Scotland, so it's illegal there.
Yeah.
And I just find that to be just like a little over the line. Like that's putting like, okay, so I mean, I know nothing's probably going to happen, but like if the law starts to get involved and I'm there, all of a sudden like it's sketchy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be involved with that. I don't want to be involved with people's illegal stuff. And the fact that like I don't know what drug paraphernalia laws are in the UK or in Greece or whatever, but it's just finding stuff like that. It just makes me feel like I just don't want. It just shouldn't be there. Like, I guess that's what it comes down to. Like,
yeah,
if you're running an
really
Airbnb, of course nothing's probably going to happen. But again, it's just like, that's not the part of you need a secure part of the world to go into. And like, it's a professional business. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not good taste. And that's to me where it kind of stepped over the line. Everything else was like, okay, it's a bad neighborhood. I can deal with that. The artwork, blah, blah, blah. The lion with its junk in its mouth, the naked guy, like all those things I could like just look away. But yeah, when it got to the drug stuff, I'm just kind of like,
I found the cigarette butt in the, silverware like with the spoons,
it's pretty gross.
I was just like,
I don't think we
feeling
cooked anything the whole time we were there. I don't remember if we did. It was pretty gross.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, but
I think that, and as our videos will show, we ate a lot of food there, and it was because we kind of understand the food. We already really love the food. We miss the food, and I think that we were just like. We're going in to eat while we're here.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we ended up doing a lot of when we were in Athens, just eating. I was going to talk about that in a minute, but I was going to say, aside from the apartment, that first like chunk of time that we were there, we did some of the touristy stuff. We went to the Acropolis and we went and did the Zeus's like temple thing and stuff. Did some of that stuff. And I mean, I think this came across in the video. It's very cool. It's very touristy. It's something that's like really happy we went to see it, but like I saw it once and like I'm pretty much set on that.
Yeah. I think my favorite, that's a spoiler for a future video. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
We had a special view of the Parthenon at one point.
Oh, at nighttime. Yeah. That video.
Did we even make that video?
Yeah, we did. That video is up already, so most people have probably seen that.
Yeah,
but
we can talk
about that stuff a little more in depth later.
Yeah, so we went and watched a movie like at an open
air.
Oh,
that's not up. That's different.
But that is not something I'm supposed to do.
That's only a tiny little blip, though.
Well, I enjoyed the things I'm thinking about.
And I'm trying to think of anything else in that video that wasn't food related because I was going to jump into the food stuff. But, food. We found that little restaurant that we ate at so you went to the guy and you gave him 15 euros
Yeah,
and
and
just
I
said,
said,
"Load
this
us
is
up.
what we have.
We have
And
15 euros. Get and
we've heard your food is good, and we'd really
So
like to experience
the way we
whatever
found
you
that
can
we
share
got
with us.
we got a local recommendation from a
Yeah.
lady that was in the neighborhood, and she's like, "I'll go to this place and eat," and like it was amazingly good, and it was like buffet style stuff, kind of like not like all you can eat buffet, but like you could see all the items and stuff.
Yeah, like it seems like in the morning time they cook up maybe like 7 or 8 different
Mains,
dishes.
yeah.
Like, and it's hard to say mains. It's more like side dishes, because then you just make a plate of like side dishes. And I think we got there towards the end of lunch, so he in a way kind of knew like nobody else is really coming over here to get this stuff, because it's not the freshest that we've had today, because it's kind of just been there. It wasn't bad or not unfresh. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of that was cooked today, or that day, not today.
Yeah, it was good.
And yeah, that was a really cool experience, and the first time that I've ever pulled out that this is how much I've got. You have something good.
I don't
Help.
think that would work in every culture.
It won't work in every culture.
And it's a little bit of a risk, because if he had been like, I'm just going to try to rob the tourists, he really could have been like deceitful or disgusting.
Kind of got to feel out the vibe too.
Yeah. But he seemed like he wanted you to have a good experience. And like, of course he can't just give you the food for free or whatever. But I mean, the amount of food he gave us, and then he gave us wine, and he didn't have to give us wine. Most places would be like, charge you more for wine, of course.
Yourself.
You know what I mean? But he was just like, you got to have wine with this food. This is how you eat this. This is how this works. And he gave us some wine as well, and that whole experience was amazing. And a lot of the feedback that we've gotten in the comments from people that are more experienced with Greece is that the food in Athens is bad. And I can see how you could fall into areas where the food in Athens could be bad, because we did have that experience. But I think
the number of potatoes
0
in this video?
No, that's in the next one, but they may have seen it already. But we seem to get lucky, or our level of what's good as far as Greek food is very low, because that meal was amazing, and it just was over and over and over.
Well,
we got to hit these places that was like exactly what we like affordable, made by somebody who is kind of passionate about what they're doing, like cooking or like maintaining their family's like cooking style or whatever. Like all that stuff just like walked in, and that was like a really good experience.
I wouldn't say we necessarily get lucky. Like we
look things up for sure. Yeah. I'm not trying to diminish your
don't discredit my shit.
I'm not trying to diminish your game, but just the way that people are responding to it is just like that all the food in Athens is trash, and I really disagree with that based on what I experienced. Maybe it's just through your lens of internet sleuthing or whatever, whatever comes up. Do you have anything else about that first Athens video that sticks out in your mind? It's that turtle. That turtle was wild, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
The way this was out of sequence, but we saw that when we were walking up
to the
Acropolis, and we were like walking up this hill, and it's just like a turtle just like walking along.
And he's really trying to get out of that pen.
He was.
He was really trying, just scritch.
I mean, I guess eventually he could dig his way out. Maybe that's what his goal was. But like a turtle,
he could not have dug his way out of stone. That turtle does not understand like
was it
the
stone
makings.
that was under him?
Yeah, and a metal fence. This turtle needed to go around. He did not know.
I was surprised, because you don't see turtles just like going down the road.
Especially not when you can hear so many people.
They're usually in the water. I mean, he might not be a water turtle, but I'm trying to think of a time where I've ever just seen a turtle. It's this
first turtle spotting,
like wild turtle, like just like rolling down the street. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Trying to think of anything else that is coming to my mind, but I think that was pretty much.
I'm glad to be back in the land where I don't have to worry about the 3 issues of toilets.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Pretty happy about that.
Southern Europe's toilet game is weak. Everywhere outside of Japan's toilet game is weak. We've had this conversation recently, but Southern Europe.
I'd prefer a squatter to a lot of the things that I experienced there, and that's the conversation that we were having about Japan. Was like, Japan's got really great toilets, and then I use toilets a lot in public, so I end up going into a lot of bathrooms, and he doesn't, and he also goes into the men's bathroom, so he doesn't see the range of toilets that I see. And
my argument was that my argument was that Japan has the best toilets in the world, public toilets.
I wasn't arguing at all, because I do think like if you take the top caliber of what you can get in Japan, it blows everything else out of the water. But if you think about like what's the lowest and what you get on average, it's okay. But sometimes you encounter a squatter. But I would definitely rather have that squatter than being stuck.
Yeah, with a regular toilet that has no lid.
Yeah, it has not a lid. It has no
seat. No seat. No lid, no seat at all.
No lid, no lock, no paper.
Yeah.
That was the trifecta we were getting. Yeah.
Yeah, at least with a squatter, if you've ever used one or understand the logic behind them, like, you're not going to fall in.
Yeah,
like,
and you can kind of relax.
You can kind of relax.
Sitting.
It's not the greatest thing, but you can kind of relax. But with these toilets with no seat, everybody is like, oh, you're supposed to just hover. But I mean, you can only hover but for so long, and sometimes your business takes longer than your hovering ability. So I think some people are like standing on the sides of the toilets, and not there. Maybe not there, but in some countries I know that's happening. And then I'm knowing, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
Mm-mm. Is it blinking again already?
The battery is dying. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. So I really like this camera, but the battery percentage thing, when you turn it on, it doesn't tell you like, oh, there's 45% left, like it does on a cell phone or something.
It just starts blinking.
It shows you
an arbitrary low time.
And then like at like 5% it blinks. So you never know when you turn the camera on like where the battery stands.
Yeah.
Unless it's either low or completely full. It's really strange. So that's why we run into this sometimes when we do these long videos.
What does it let us know that?
Right now, it's not telling us anything. They can't see that though, so that's not interesting conversation.
Yeah, okay. You can't see it, so I won't blabble about it. But it's just got this freaking asterisk here.
Yeah, it's for like locking the focal point or something. Okay, so let's do some questions. I've got 3, and we'll see if we can get through all 3 of them here. Erin asks, where did Katie get her awesome cat shirt? And I had Katie grab this. Because
I like this story.
Because this is the shirt she's talking about.
I don't have very many female friends. And like one of the first female friends that I made here in Japan, no, I shouldn't say that, because I had Emma and Makiko in Kumagaya. But after I left that, it took a while to make female friends. And like feel comfortable to be like, let's go and hang out and do stuff. And with Emma and with Makiko, I never went like shopping. But with Kai.
Oh, did you buy this with Kai?
That's our first shopping adventure, and it was my first time to really like hang out with her one-on-one, and I was kind of nervous, like we're gonna be friends and whatever. And I remember we went into H&M and we wandered around, and I found this shirt.
Oh, this is from H&M?
Yes.
Why did I thought you got this in Harajuku or something?
Yeah, it's from H&M, and doesn't say, it's a different, like, brand.
Oh, no, it says H&M on it. Oh, huh.
Yeah. And I was just like, I'm getting that. And every time I see it, it reminds me of her, and it reminds a lot of people that I made friends with that night, because she randomly invited me to somebody's birthday party. Didn't know the person. I went. And many of the people knew me as the cat girl.
Oh,
after that.
Typical.
Yeah. So,
and I think that
it's a good purchase.
Shortly after you bought this, we were in Vietnam, and we saw they were selling like knockoff versions of this and like dresses and stuff. Like
jackets
they'd taken,
or something.
But the pattern, like the print, was like really poor compared to this one. Like the quality of the print was really low.
It's like they saw that they were doing that at H&M, and they were like, well, we can copy this picture of a cat, and then we can print it badly, and it won't matter.
It's like they downloaded the cat pattern off the H&M's webpage and just hit the print button. So it was like 70 DPI or whatever.
Yeah, but they were selling it for a lot cheaper.
Aaron also includes another question about, do you guys have any favorite stores or neighborhoods for shopping in Tokyo? And like, I don't shop. I don't buy stuff.
You don't shop? I go to secondhand shops.
What neighborhood do you think is good for that?
Well, it's just wherever I'm close to. Right now in Ueno, you can go to Modoff, or there's also another shop very close to there that I just found, and it's just secondhand.
Modoff
clothes.
is like hard off, but they have clothes, right?
But clothes.
Okay.
And it's basically quite secondhand, but it's still very good quality. They know what they're looking at.
It's not like going into Goodwill where they
just
take
everything.
Yeah, it's not like that at all.
They're only taking certain things. In Harajuku, I would go to Kinji, and Kinji is more for like hip, later teens, 20s, and 30s.
And is it another secondhand place?
Yeah, it's another secondhand place. They know what they have. And even in that video, I bought a shirt from that place. It has a hippo on it, and it's green. And it has like, on one of the sleeves, it looks like kind of melted wax or something like that. And I took this shirt up to them, and I was like, it has melted wax. Can you put a discount on it? And they were like, no, we know what we have. It's going to be 900 yen. And I was like... all right, I'm buying it because it's got the hippo on it. So they knew. Yeah, and I've had that shirt for like 4 years now.
I usually just end up buying t-shirts from America, to be honest with you. Like, so everybody always asks me, where do you get your t-shirts or whatever?
You have such an ability to buy t-shirts. I don't have that ability to buy t-shirts online. It's just going to come and it's going to be a square or it's going to be too big. And I'm going to be unhappy that I bought it. So I really have to try it on.
I see.
So yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
And then, I mean, I don't know. What about shopping for other things besides clothes? I mean, I don't even know.
Besides clothes,
we don't shop. This is not a thing we don't do.
I like Daiso or any Hyakuen shop
100
of
shops.
any sort. Yes.
I like to window shop in Akihabara, just like video game stuff and things like that, or like electronics and things. But I very rarely ever buy anything. I don't collect things like that.
I like to go on Craigslist a lot.
Yes, you get alerts on Craigslist.
It's literally open on my computer right now. And when that battery died, I have a compulsion apparently. When the battery died, Eric started replacing the battery, and I just started scrolling down Craigslist. I have an addiction.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that's like places for shopping. I don't. Amazon. We buy things from Amazon and stuff like when we need.
Yeah. A lot of Amazon.
Amazon.
And recently today just set up a home grocery delivery.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're going to get our first delivery of our groceries to our house, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be cool with how that works
yeah.
out. Let's see. Timothy asks a question that's kind of topical at the moment. Are you still living in Japan on a work visa? If so, have you considered getting permanent residency?
What a touchy subject right now. Yeah, I have a work visa. Yes, would really like to have permanent residency so I don't have to worry about the possibility of being deported.
So
and
we've lived here. We've lived here since 2011, and we've been on 1 year visas every year. So
that's seven
in a
1 year
row that
visas.
they've given us 1 year visas, and usually they will give out a 3 year visa or a 5 year visa at a certain point, and they just aren't giving them to us. And our understanding, which is, you can't get really a straight answer from the immigration people. Like the people that give you the paperwork and that you communicate with aren't the people making the decisions. They're just the people that give the paperwork.
And then the people who give you your visa at the end aren't the people who made the decision.
And there's a huge line of people.
And there's no one to talk to.
There's nobody to talk to. So we did ask, and the lady's response was essentially like, well, your contract from your company is written in a certain way that's like, we aren't giving guarantee long-term employment, so therefore we can't give you a long-term visa.
So my company gives me a 1 year visa, and so their reasoning was...
Or a 1 year contract.
A 1 year contract.
Yeah.
So the reasoning of the visa being 1 year is that. But what's interesting is I had my boss write them a letter that was like, could you give her a longer visa? Like, we plan to have her employed for... as long as we can have her. And I think it's just normal to have 1 year contracts with your company.
It is.
But I don't know.
So
I'm annoyed.
it's a little sketchy. It's a little annoying. It's never a problem because we tend to always get our visa renewed without any real headache or anything. I mean, we pay the taxes and all the things that are necessary for that, do all the paperwork properly. But it is like a little bit like, it's hard to feel stable because you don't feel like It's like okay, so like if something happens with her job, then all of a sudden it's like a huge scramble to find another job that can employ us just so that we can get a visa. So like if her job ended like right after we got a new visa, that'd be fine. We'd have a whole year to figure it out. But if her job ended a week before she was supposed to get her visa renewed, then it's like, okay, what do? We could get deported in a week or whatever. So it's sketchy. Like you really want to have like a longer extension on how long you can stay. Yeah.
If
I think
somehow the job went down and I was just like, well, I would they understand? Would immigration get it? Or would they just be like, you've got to go?
What I know for a fact is when they do actually force down when they deport somebody, I've known people that have been deported, they give you time to sort your deal. They give you time to get your life in order. So my impression is that immigration is pretty flexible. And if you just go and explain your situation and be like, my job this ended and I'm trying to find a new job right now, I think they'll give you an extension. I'm not saying that for 100% certainty, but that's the impression that I've been left with. So yeah, it would be really good to have permanent resident status, but it would also be good to just have a 3 or 5 year visa.
Yeah.
So I think you have to have a 3-year visa before they will give you permanent residency. But a law just changed like in the last couple of years, and they have changed the way that permanent residency is handed out. So the people that we know that have permanent residency don't have accurate information to how the application process goes through now. So we've contemplated talking to a friend of ours who recently got the permanent residency and just finding out what his situation was. And then also talking to like an immigration lawyer or something to try to maybe figure out like what is the accurate steps to take to jump through the hoops to get permanent residency.
Yeah, expedite the situation with someone with knowledge.
Are we eligible for it and all those? Because we're not even really sure if we're eligible for it. And you have to meet some certain criteria and things like that. So that's kind of the answer. That it's stressful and it would be nice, but we don't know.
And we've tried our best to get the most that we can, but 1 year.
Yeah.
Every year. See you next year.
Every year, 1 year. And the last question, and this is sort of an out of the field question, and I think this is just gonna be more of an opinion thing, and it's possible you may not even know about this that much. So if not, then I will explain it a little bit as much as I understand it. But Greg asks, what do you think about China's new social credit system? Many people seem outraged, but was wondering if from your perspective, having seen China, I believe is what he means, what it seems like. And do you know what China's social credit is?
If I understand this, everybody's credit is very public. And
define credit.
Good. I'm assuming how well you are doing financially in the scheme of, this same as like American credit.
Okay.
Like in that if you had a bill, you took care of it.
Okay.
But if you don't take care of it, that number goes down.
So you aren't completely wrong because that would be a piece of it, but it's a social credit thing and it is tied to people's behaviors. So like if you get in trouble for doing something illegal, it affects your social credit score. And it is something that the government is tracking in a giant database that my impression is that it is searchable to a certain level by like everybody. And it can affect things such as like if you wanted to buy an airplane ticket, if your social credit score is too low, you can't. Or if you want to buy train tickets or go to hotels, or like if you want to get a job or something, I believe those people have access to checking your social credit score. I'm not 100% sure on that. But, and it is like, some of it is stuff like criminal record stuff. And some of it is like, you know, something like, oh, they were littering. That goes in your social credit score. Or their friends got in trouble for legal things. So it's like, it builds a network. So like if your friends go to jail for something or whatever, it affects your social credit score unless you like cut them off or whatever.
Guilty by association has got a whole new meaning there.
It turns into a really big intertwined mess of like authoritative like nightmare. You know what I mean? So it's interesting because I understand why everybody's freaking out about it because it's scary. Like that's freaky stuff.
I think it's an interesting system, but I feel like it's one of those things you would have read in a book and gone, yeah, that really never existed, or it existed long ago and it didn't work out, and that's strange and bizarre. I remember reading this book when I was little that was about like they would give jobs to people at a very young age, and they would kill off like certain numbers of kids and stuff. This was
a children's book?
Yeah, I read it in like middle school or something like that. They only wanted a certain number of kids, so like some kids wouldn't make it, and then you turned 12 and you got your job, and that was a job you were going to have for your life. So I remember reading this and thinking to myself, that's terrible. Kind of sucks. You don't get to like choose what you
kind of. They're killing 12-year-olds. It's terrible.
I'm talking about just the job part of it. And I remembered reading that, and that's what this system sounds like. It sounds like something archaic, and it sounds like something so over-encompassing and yet restrictive that it doesn't seem feasible or like it's based in reality.
On the flip side, and don't get me wrong, my real opinion is that this is horrible and this is not something that should exist. On the flip side, the argument I think that the Chinese government might have is that we have a large population of people who don't behave well. And like we saw that firsthand when we were there, and anybody who spent a lot of time in China knows what we're talking about when we say that. It's just that you have, they've put up rules they're trying to enforce. The government has made steps to a certain degree to try to straighten out social behaviors and stuff, and it doesn't seem like it's taking. And I think it might have something to do with the size of the population. And I mean, I don't understand China enough to explain the intricacies of what is going on with the misbehavior of so much of the population. But it is definitely a thing, and I'm wondering if they're seeing this and they're trying to overstep to correct it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just without getting too deep into China, like when we're there, you're in the Forbidden City and people are inside of the building pissing on the inside of the walls. And there's signs up and stuff, don't go here. And people are just like stomping over the signs and destroying things. And it's just little things like that it's just like people aren't obeying things. You go to the zoo, there's signs everywhere, don't feed the animals, and they're pouring candy into the cages with the animals just to get their attention. Nobody cares. Everybody is just behaving for themselves. So, like, I think that from a certain perspective, you look at that and you'd be like, well, what the hell else are we supposed to do? You have to create a system that's going to try to stop people from behaving in this manner. So I can understand how higher up people or whatever could probably argue this type of system into existing. And I think a lot of people that haven't been to China or haven't been exposed to that, and I mean, we were only there for a month, so I mean, again, we aren't experts or anything, but people see it from the outside and they're like, oh, that system is terrible, that shouldn't exist. But they're not taking in the reason that the system is being designed. And I think that might have something to do with it. And I had the same reaction at one point because I met this Chinese guy when we were in Laos. He was really smart, and we were just hanging out with him for a while, and we were talking, and he was asking me about how I felt about, like, at the time, the Great Firewall, the data firewall that they were building to stop internet traffic from coming in and out. He was asking me what I thought about that as an American, and I was like, that's terrible. Like, freedom of speech is super important. You shouldn't have to deal with that. And his opinion was the opposite, that the government needs to be able to control things to keep the public safe. And this blew my mind, and I don't agree with him. I think that freedom of speech is way, way, way more important than anything. Like, I think it's so important for people to be able to say what they need to say. But I mean, his perspective as an intelligent, like, Western educated, however, Chinese citizen was like, this is something the government needs to be able to do. And I think that same argument is maybe being made by Chinese citizens about this new social credit system. It's a really deep well to talk about this. And I can see it from both sides, but the American in me is like, no, that's evil, and freedom of speech is important, and you can't track people's every move in that way, because I mean, there's cameras everywhere, and it's spooky, man.
I kind of like it.
You just want to be able to check your own score and see if you got it to go up.
No.
You're gonna cut me off if I get in trouble.
Everybody's following the rules, and it's very important that you follow the rules and that you make your omelet correct.
Because if you use an extra egg, your social credit score is gonna dip.
Whoa, extra egg. Gosh, should have given that to your neighbor.
But what about the problem that it's gonna? I mean, the end result of that is that people with no power are going to be punished, and the people that have power are going to be able to modify their scores. I mean, it's just gonna end. You know what I mean?
It
There's
is
no
the
way.
standing of what is here now.
There's no way that it's not gonna be abused.
Yeah.
That kind of system. I mean, what if you seriously though? What if you jaywalked and they told you can't get on an airplane?
You live there now?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. It's pretty sketchy.
Yeah, I wonder what the far-reaching ability of restrictions would be, but...
I'd be interested to see what you guys had to say about it. I think most people that are watching our videos are going to be fairly, like, Western about that opinion. Like, this social system is terrible. But does anybody have any, like, other insight into, like, what the deal with China, the social complexity of China and why they might be implementing it and what people's opinions might be? I really don't know. I just have read a few headlines and been there for a bit. That's my whole system.
Yeah. I'm excited.
We'll
see how it goes. I want to know the role system. I want to see, like, the manual.
You want to see the manual?
I want to see the manual.
Yeah, I wonder if there is one. That'd be an interesting thing to look up.
It's got all kanjis.
It's just got no kana. There's not going to be any katakana in there, dude.
Yeah, can't read it. My social credit score is going to go down for illiteracy.
All right. We have another Athens video that's going to be uploaded pretty soon, and that's going to be the end of the year.
Number 46?
Yep, that'll be the 46th episode in the European series, and then we're going to get to doing some Japan stuff.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to finally get to send off the Athens postcard. We bought it almost a year ago.
Is that what we're working on now?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll be doing that tonight.
Cool.
And yeah, so I don't think it's like, I like the postcard. Don't expect it to be like some sort of wow, but I really liked what I was looking at. I think it's a great postcard, and I wish there was one for every location, like of what you'll see. Yeah.
I don't remember what it is at this point. You have to show me later.
I'll send you one.
Okay.